Hi kids, I'm Chris Harvey.
I'm Elena Joyner.
And I'm Chelsea Jackson.
And this is Designer Dead, where we get into all things fashion and style, giving you everything from runway reports to streetwear to the business behind the biggest aspects of fashion and in retail. As you can see, we have a fourth chair today. We have another guest.
Yay!
Mr. Jérôme Lamaar Rice. So let me just get into his well-established background and his 24 years in the industry. Okay, 24 plus. So Jérôme Lamaar is a Bronx-born polymath, having worn many hats as a visionary, creative consultant, designer, storyteller, and futurist. He has blended and transformed fashion, accessibility, art, technology, color, and culture. You may remember him from Life in the Fab Lane with Kimora Lee Simmons, at the time, Kimora Lee now. Where Jérôme started at Baby Phat at the ripe old age of 15 while still in school, rising in the ranks to becoming associate creative director for the brand. This was just the beginning of his prolific career, as I already mentioned. In 2008, he officially cultivated trends in New York, Paris, and Tokyo, becoming a certified trend forecaster for companies like WGSN and the Doniger Group. In 2015, he created his own store called the 9J Concept Store in the Mott Haven area, spurring a new development in what had been a forgotten area. In 2022, he created a successful 3-part collection with Macy's, which sold out in record time both in-store and online. That same year, he made a return to reality TV with the Fuse Network with Upcycle Nation alongside Miss Karuchi Tran. Jérôme is a lifelong student and is always learning and evolving. He not only attended FIT for fashion design and fabric styling, but went on to gain certifications ranging from software engineering at IBM and UX design and generative AI from Microsoft and from Google. His long A-list clientele includes the likes of Beyonce, Rihanna, and Mariah Carey. Additionally, he has collaborated with everyone from Virgin Hotels to Manolo Blahnik to the United Nations to Disney, Mattel. I could go on and on, okay? He's been featured in GQ, Vogue, and the New York Times a record number of times, in fact. And most recently, he partnered with Swarovski and Cartier to create a custom look for the 2005 Met Gala for Andra Day. Please join me in giving a virtual welcome to Mr. Jérôme Lamaar Rice.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. I was like,
I'm reading your accolades.
Wow.
And mind you,
good.
I had to take a lot of things out, okay? He's done even more than that. I had to just shorten it.
From the age of 15, that's incredible. Thank you so much for joining us on this show. We really truly appreciate having you. So the first question we wanted to ask you is related to our name, Is Designer Dead? So basically, we decided to call the podcast Is Designer Dead because on top of just being fashion enthusiasts, we really wanted to explore the concept of just designer culture and the world of the designer industry, but then also the space of the actual creative director and designers in general and how we view the not just the landscape for that particular position within the fashion industry, but also how it's evolved and how different people are using that term to really expand what a creative director is and what a designer is. So the first question we really wanted to ask you is, do you think is designer dead?
In my opinion, it is, and here's why.
Okay.
I think we are moving into a world where shopping and clothing is becoming more of a luxury than it needs to be, right? We are sparse with our pockets. We have no money coming in. Even though we do have money, there's money that we're lacking. Who wants to spend money on clothes as much as they do? I do. But now I'm so focused on a digital format of that, right? So in my opinion, the old way of what designer used to be has changed into something new. And we have to discover what that is. Was that good?
Yes,
okay?
and in terms of the creative director and the designers.
So now, when it comes to creative direction, everyone's a creative director. Everyone who picks up a camera calls himself a creative director.
Everyone's an influencer. Right. Yeah.
I think let's break down what a creative director does. Right. A creative director's role is to piece together various assets of the brand from bottom to top and give it a voice that translates into the market or the public, right?
Sure.
That's different from a designer.
Yes.
A designer's job is to be very detail-oriented, focused on the design language of the company, and to make that into a product so people can purchase. So I think people are, and then you have artistic director, which is a whole nother thing, right? So I call myself a creative director because I work so much from A to Z and 1, 2, 3. I like the idea of taking a print from the carpet to the wood on a wall and creating a narrative for a designer to take to the next level from that from the narrative that I put together. And I think most people just don't realize there's a lot that goes behind being a creative director.
Sure.
And we're not just designing clothes.
But a creative director is not the same thing as a designer. A designer has to have a background,
Tactile,
has to have
silhouette, creative,
crafts, technique, and all of those things. Yeah.
And not to cut you off, there's a lot of creative directors who are, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
They
a
have
lot
gone
of
to
creative
design
directors who are
school.
both.
Yes.
And I think I'm both, right? Although I'm not like head of any big house yet.
Period. Period.
Emphasis on yet.
But, you know, you have the big guys like J.W. Anderson, you have Phoebe Philo. I love Phoebe Philo.
I do too.
She's eating them up.
Yeah.
And you have Marc Jacobs, right? You have these people who are designers and creative directors. And sometimes you have people like Dries Van Noten, right? And Raf Simons, who are truly, they are designers, truly, but their strength comes from the creative direction of pulling print, silhouettes, colors, and feeling together.
Yeah.
So, did I answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. That was a beautiful answer, too.
Yeah, we all interpreted it differently. On our first episode, we all answered the question, so we ask everyone that question at the top. Yeah. So now we want to get into a few questions for you and do a little bit of an interview portion before we get into the rest of the dialogue. So I'll start with some questions for you. First one, you've had a career spanning 25 years. What in your career are you most proud of? From the past, and what are you most excited about in the present?
The thing I'm most excited about was actually dressing Andra Day for the Met Gala. I'm gonna be very vulnerable right now. Why? Here's why. I used to call myself a dandy before it was okay to be called a dandy, and to not be a part of that conversation when all of my friends and my peers were.
Yeah.
It was heartbreaking. And I remember sitting in my room and watching, Vogue has just put out their little breakdown of the concept for the season for the Met Gala. And I remember watching it and I was in tears because I was saying, oh my gosh, all of my friends are participating in this.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, what did I do wrong? Why not me? Tears, just sobbing on my couch. Why did I look at my phone right after it went off? And Worry Vice, Andra Day stylist, reached out to me and was like, we need to talk. Are you available? And I was like, sure. What's up? What do you need? Would you be interested in designing for a suit for Andra Day and Cartier? I could not believe it. I just couldn't believe it. Because I was like, this is nuts. This is not happening. It was not on. I was going to just be the guy who sat home and watched the red carpet. And I cannot believe, I can believe
Yes.
that was my opportunity to be a part of it. And so that was my biggest, my favorite achievement, I guess, up until this point. What I'm looking forward to is seeing how I can merge fashion and technology in a more dynamic way. I don't know if the tech bros understand that fashion is not just what they think it is, that there's a more interesting dialogue to have with the consumer and the users. I like the idea of a user, right?
Yeah.
That's who we're becoming.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing how we can merge fashion culture, melanin and quality into everything that has tech.
I can tell you, like, creatives, Black creatives, queer creatives, like, female creatives in the tech space is so needed. Like, just thinking about, like, who writes the AI and how that can come out bias, and it's, like, so important to start this work now.
And it's getting to a good point, but it can be better. Right? And let's just see. As long as we are still learning to coding, they say coding is not important because you can, but be comfortable with the technology that's developing. And that's why I challenge everyone, right? Please get comfortable with the technology that we're handling. Because we don't want to be like our grandparents who's trying to
show me how to do this.
Whatever should be automated when we get older, right? So just get comfortable with it because it's here and it's not going anywhere. It's just going to get more advanced. And I just challenge designers to think on that level. I challenge everyone to just think on the stage of technology because that's our next frontier.
And it should enable creativity, not supplant it, not supplant human creativity.
Like use it for brainstorming and weird concepts, but didn't execute it, right? And I think that's the next wave. I love the fact that you can use technology to brainstorm and storyboard. And then also manifest, right? Because you could use it to manifest.
You can.
If used right. And prompt it to a place where you can find a product that feels right for the whatever industry you're in. I love that. I think it's important. So,
Okay. Next. Okay. So as somebody who was raised on Life in the Fab Lane, I'm really excited about this question. What was it like to work at Baby Phat in such a pivotal and senior role at such a young age, 15 years old? Why did you leave, or are there any misconceptions about your time there?
Wow.
So the two-part question.
So let me start from the beginning then, right? So my mom, who was the coolest woman in the world, was in her 30s, and she had just styled a Hot 97 fashion show somewhere in the city. I don't know, I was too young. But she came home with a maroon T-shirt, and it said Baby Phat, a little baby tee. And she was like young. She was like in her 30s. Her body was like tea. Anyway, so she
body
came home,
tea, everything tea.
And so I remember speaking to her and going like, okay, what is this little tea? It's so cute, mommy. Her gay son. And she was like, this is Russell's wife's brand called Baby Phat. And it said Baby Phat. And I was like, oh, I want to work there. Kept calling after school, whatever. They got to know me. They thought I was so cute, so young. They said, Jerome, we think you're adorable. Wait until you're in college. I was only entering high school.
Entering,
yeah. I went to art and design high school in the city. Boom. Gave up. My grandmother passed away. And next thing you know, I'm tapped on the shoulder to be a part of a program for all of these amazing, amazing companies. I didn't care because it wasn't Baby Phat. Jerk. Right? Boom. Quick. I'm jumping through it quickly so we can get to the good stuff, right? I didn't know Kamora's right-hand woman would be there. And that's how I got discovered so early on. I was 15, and I turned 16 working at the company. And that's when Andra and Tally, Kamora, and Christina Lee wished me a happy birthday, and it changed my life. Because I was already working in the showroom. So I went from being an intern who was dealing with all the stylists who came in. And that's how I got to know all the stylists and understand what that role was. And then I got to work with some of the marketing people. And then I got to work with, I just kept moving up. Boom, boom. I became a freelancer because I was still too young. And they were paying me a stipend. Loved it. Had no life. I went to school and went straight to work. I loved it. No idea that the company was blowing up. And the role just kept getting bigger and bigger. And when Kamora, it was my last day of my freelance gig, quote unquote, and the loudspeaker came on and Kamora called me into our office. And that's when I got hired, which is wild. Salary offered, I got an office, Unheard of.
How old were you when the salary was offered?
I was 18.
Okay. Wow.
So you essentially interned your way through high school.
All the way through.
Oh, wow.
And then immediately at 18, you were offered full time.
18, yep.
And you essentially got this from your mom.
So I stayed there. From her wearing it.
Yeah,
that's why she's my girl, right? Because she gets it, and she understood what I did, and she trusted me enough to work in an environment that was like that. So here's the environment. Everyone's in their like late 20s or mid 20s. Kimora was in her 30s. She was, leading the ship, which is crazy. There was some people who were like in their early 30s, but everyone was young, Black, and intelligent, and Latino and Jewish, and it was so diverse. And I didn't even realize that not every place was like that. I wish I knew that. I didn't realize like my role was so important because I had to interact with the stylist and package things and put things out. Like that's how I met June. That's how I met Patty Wilson. Patty Wilson was our stylist, which was so fabulous. All the stylists would come in and they would be like, "Who's this little kid? He knows so much." I was obsessed with history, art history, and fashion history as a kid. So when Mr. Leon Talley came into the space, I was trying to be invisible. But when they wished me happy birthday, it changed the way I saw myself, right? Because I was acknowledged by the person I will watch on TV and how elegant he was and how eloquent he was, right? And it made me study fashion because I saw a Black man speak the way he spoke and carried himself with so much elegance. And I knew I wanted to be in fashion. I just knew that I had to start at Baby Phat. So that environment was so beautiful because we had people coming in and out from hip hop, from Vogue, from coming in and just getting the clothes and doing what they need to do because it was the center of culture.
That's amazing.
I love that. It's so, as you were describing it, it reminded me of the movie Boomerang.
Oh yeah, Boomerang was one of my favorite movies. Everyone's black,
in a professional
sophisticated, and chic, and smart, and successful. That's one of my favorite movies as a kid.
Yeah, I remember seeing that as a kid. That and also The Inkwell.
Yes.
And I remember thinking to myself, okay, like I'm gonna move to New York and I'm gonna like summer in Martha's Vineyard and I'm gonna play tennis. And it's so interesting that you said that because I grew up in Seattle, so that's a whole different thing. But I didn't have, of course I have my parents, but I didn't have the city to like raise me into this. And it's so interesting because I thought of Boomerang and like you were living Boomerang.
Literally, now when you said that, absolutely.
Yeah.
And seeing ad directors and executives who were of color.
Yeah.
Andre Leon Talley also went to my church, the Abyssinian Baptist Church.
Abyssinian, yeah.
And I remember him when I was really, really little, and he used to come in Mariah Carey on his arm, or sometimes he would just come by himself. But he also brought in celebrities and stuff to the church, and he was just like so larger than life to me when I was, I used to like sneak out of Sunday school and go up just to see him come out because they used to come out of the service like before Sunday school was over, and he was just like so larger than life, so like dressed to the nines. Talk about dandyism. Like he to me, he was like the epitome of it. So I just remember that was such a beautiful memory. What was he like?
My experiences were brief because I didn't want to be in the way. That's kind of my problem. I have this fear of being in the way.
Sure.
But every time I spoke to him, he always gave me life. The last time I saw him, the most meaningful night that I saw him was at the Plaza. And it was my last show with Baby Phat. And he pulled me aside and he was like, "You are so beautiful. You just keep doing what you're doing." I said, "This man knows who I am." Oh my God. Never forget that. And it stays in my mind because everyone was still inside. And me being an early bird, I was leaving and he was standing there at the pillar, red steps. And he was like, "I see what you're doing and you keep doing what you're doing because you are beautiful and young. Don't give up." And I will never forget him saying that to me, his suit, and saying to myself, he knows who I am, getting into a car, an Uber, like a taxi, and going, "Oh my God, that was Mr. Leon Talley. I wish I had a camera." It's a different time. That was 2008.
Yeah. Oh my God. So another follow-up question to that would be, what is your current relationship with Kimora Lee?
Yeah, so Kimora to me, is like my mom. She's like a second mom. She's been so supportive from the beginning of time. And it's good. I mean, I pass people over to her whenever she needs something, or articles or whatever. I just literally just connected an editor to her team yesterday, Friday.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's family. They're my family. Yeah. You know.
So will you be a part of the
No. Unfortunately, they told me later. They told me after, because I was in the zone, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're shooting," and then it was like, "We're about to wrap." I was like, "Why didn't you tell me? I would have But there's always room for cameos. And they was like, that'll be a full circle moment. We'll see. You know what's going. But yeah, that would have been fun.
Yeah.
But I was already
booked and busy.
I was already booked and busy, and I wish they would have said it because I wanted to do a cameo. But there's still room. It's just beginning again.
Yeah.
And thank God for those. And let me just throw something in there. If they didn't do that reality show, I would not be sitting here right now. No one would give two craps, because it changed the way people saw Black-owned businesses before it was a thing.
Right.
And they knew that what was happening in there was real and it was passionate. And then I got to be little old Jerome. And I had that's only a fraction of what I actually did with the company, which is cool. Yeah. And I'm grateful for it to even have a cameo in that thing.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, it was fun. MySpace famous at that time.
Oh, goodness, MySpace.
I know.
I think it also gave viewers just a little bit of a snippet of all of the people and it takes to just make the little things happen. Like, I remember one of the episodes where you were designing for Aoki and Ming Lee for the runway, and they were telling you what they wanted. And I was like, I know this, conceptually, I know this has to happen, but like watching it happen and I remember you had to like redo some of it. I was like, this happened.
And that was the pretty side of it.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work.
I bet.
And the cameras were there. And that was before, and in my mind I kept saying, oh, I'm a real designer. I don't want to be on reality TV. Ugh. And then something was like, shut up.
Right? It's an opportunity.
In my mind, it was like, my higher self was like, calm down.
Yeah.
Just do your job and mind your business. And so I'm glad I did that. But, you know, being a designer on TV was taboo. It was like, you know.
Well, reality TV itself was getting its ceiling.
It was the beginning.
Yeah, it was the beginning.
It was before the Kardashians.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
Because I remember me and Kim, and I was like, who's this girl? She used to come all the time. I was like, but I liked the way she looked. So here's the thing about her, just real quick. When I met her, I was 17, and she was wearing Hervé Leger at a pool party with Christian Louboutin shoes. And I remember I said, "Hold up."
I love it. I love
being
the
a little
drama.
fashion boy, right? And I said, "Let me walk over to this girl." I said, "Who are you?" And she was like, "I'm Kim Kardashian." I was like, "Whatever your name is." I took her by the hand and I spun her around. She's tiny. I spun her around. And it was like, you are giving them a run for your money, honey. This little Hervé Leger, so young, so good. But I will never forget it because I didn't remember her name. I just remember how she looked and how sweet she was. She was really sweet. And I was a kid. She was like, you're so sweet. I know. It was just such a cool, weird moment at a pool party in LA. And next year, boom. I was like, that's that girl. She's like, come on. I was like, calm down. Very interesting. Early times of television and fashion. Yeah. Sorry.
So my last question would be about your current styling for Dennis Rodman. So how did that come about and how is that going?
Wow. Okay, so this publicist, Social Adam, reached out to me 2 days before he was coming. Dennis was coming to town, and I was like, Dennis Rodman is a giant.
Yeah.
How do you expect me to style this man in 2 days?
A kilt.
A big tee. Let me go get you a big old. Remember the old tees he used to wear in the 2000s? I was gonna get him that. Yeah. However, I was lucky enough to pull some pieces from Loire to make sure he looked somewhat, presentable. And I never met him. What's so important about styling a man like Dennis Rodman is he knows what he likes, and he knows who he is. And I didn't want to be the guy who was trying to make him too much of anything, so I just kind of kept it simple for that round. And I would love to keep building him, reintroducing the world to how cool he was. Like, this guy was wearing colored hair and makeup on the courts, wigs.
Yes.
Like, I told him when I met him, I almost cried because I was like, I love basketball. So when I met him, this is all on the same day because it was a long day, okay? I had one day with the guy. You really inspired me. And I think, he almost teared up because I don't think he realized, like, that he had such an impact. But I was like, literally, like, if you weren't the man who you were, I wouldn't be able to be. And I was wearing a wig. My wig was looking wild, but it was like it was a long wig. I was wearing a tank. I was cute. But I think he appreciated the fact that I acknowledged him as who he was. And then I gave him the prep. I was like, you have to, okay, so this show you're going to is Loire. He's like the big designer. And that's one of my oldest, me and Raul go way back. Myself and a lot of the other designers. I was always the corporate girly. Anyway. And I was like, he's one of my good friends and he's one of the best people I know. And you just need to look really good, you and your wife. And he just let me do it. And I hope that we can get him to be acknowledged for his contribution to fashion.
Yeah,
sure.
Because he's contributed so much, and people who kind of overlooked him. But I
he
would
was
like to
ahead
bring
of
him
his
back.
time.
Definitely ahead of
for
his time.
He created the time I'm in, because there was no black man who was comfortable in their skin enough to be the man he was. He showed up with a wedding gown to his book signing. Like, in a wig, face done.
Yes.
Great, so I think we usually give flowers to someone like him, and I'm so grateful because I am working on rebuilding his image stylistically. He's already Dennis Rodman. I just need to get the designer brands to acknowledge him again. That's been my new vision. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Jerome. So now we're going to jump into our regularly scheduled activities and segments, and we're going to have Jerome bouncing questions off of him. So let's get into it. So we're going to start with, is designer dead? The state of New York Fashion Week. So speaking of your good friend Raul over at Lamar, let me just first kind of just give an origin story about New York Fashion Week so we can just talk about where it started and how it has progressed and evolved. So the first iteration of New York Fashion Week was actually Press Week, started by Eleanor Lambert in 1943. Eleanor, if you don't know her, she's that girl. She created the International Best Dress List. She created the CFDA, and obviously she created the first iteration of New York Fashion Week. So she really is that girl. She is really responsible for putting New York fashion designers on the main stage. So she created Press Week basically it was during the World War II. So the issue was, prior to that time, a lot of American designers used to camp out to Paris to get inspirations and designs, because Paris was really that girl, as it still is. So she created this as an opportunity for more homegrown designers to get more kind of like notoriety and more publicity. That's why it was called Press Week. And then from there, it started as one centralized location at the Plaza Hotel. And so the main goal was really to have all these designers presented at this one venue to create more mass attention for buyers as well as for the press. Then in 1945, 2 years after that, Ruth Finley was responsible for creating the fashion calendar, allowing all of their designers to make sure that they weren't kind of overbooking with each other and making sure everyone knew when their time and their appointment was, so that there would be no competition in terms of the press and the buyers. Then in 1962, the CFDA was launched. And from there, the shows continued to get bigger and bigger and bigger, coming into a head in the 1990s, especially culminating in 1991, when part of the ceiling at the Michael Kors show collapsed onto some Vogue editors, causing for a complete revamp and a rethinking about what New York Fashion Week needed to be. So at the time, Fern Malice, who was the executive director of the CFDA, she took it upon herself to figure out what the new direction for New York Fashion Week would be. That's when enter in the two tents at Bryant Park, where most designers ended up showing, and then towards the end of that decade in the 1990s, it was rebranded into the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week, as a lot of us knew well about it. Then in 2010, it changed again to being primarily held at the Lincoln Center, which did not last that long. And now New York Fashion Week is pretty much wherever. A lot of times people do shoot in Spring Studios, but it is kind of far-reaching and disparate around all parts of New York, even being in places like Brooklyn. We saw the Pyre Moss show there, so it's a really, I know, right?
Yes.
It's a really wide-reaching time for New York Fashion Week, so I would love to know, kind of speaking from that point and how it has evolved over all these decades, Jérôme, like, what was your experience this most recent Fashion Week, and how do you feel like it has evolved for better and for worse over the years?
It was very selective this Fashion Week.
Yeah.
I think New York Fashion Week needs a revamp again. I don't know if it has the same influence as it once had, because we have American designers showing elsewhere nowadays, mostly Paris. So what do we do about American fashion?
Yeah.
What is American fashion now? Because it's not being acknowledged the way it should be. Long story short, I respect, my friends who are all real designers, who are all showing. They're showing from, like you said, from Brooklyn to everywhere, right? Everyone's going down to the financial district. WSA and all that. Down there is everything. That's the spot to be.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said it on camera. Don't come.
We can
You know.
Right. Yeah. But I think actually it's very interesting because that came up for a reason. Because a lot of designers did show there, and that's the spot where most designers are being housed.
Interesting.
So there's a new world that's happening under everyone's feet, and I'm excited to see what happens next. But I don't know about New York Fashion Week.
Yeah.
I don't know I think maybe there's too many designers. Let me rephrase that. I think there's a lot of noise, and I think we need to streamline what a designer is. I'm not interested in seeing hoodies. I'm not interested in seeing upcycling. Love that. Love that for you. I was on a show for it.
Yeah.
Right? Awesome. I don't want to see that. And I get it. But we need to redefine what it is to be an American designer and not try to compete with everyone else with their craftsmanship. Milan has their own craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Paris has their craftsmanship. What does America have? I skipped London because everybody forgot about London for a while. London has its kitsch, right?
I love London.
I love London. I love London.
Yeah.
But what does America have to offer nowadays? But minimalism. That's really...
I hate minimalism.
Yeah,
as I'm wearing a beige dress.
but you rock, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think we have to reimagine what that is for us as Americans. I think we also are going through something very stressful as Americans. So we do want to flee. Like I want to just up and move somewhere else. Yeah. So what does that mean for us? I keep saying that question, and I think that's why, if we could streamline who are, like back in the day, they had the Big 10 or whatever, right? Yeah. We could remember them from Ralph Lauren, Donna Karan, Michael Kors, Calvin Klein. You know, we could go through a list of them. We know who they are. Right now, we don't have that as much.
Well, I know that for me, when I was thinking about this question in terms of how do I see New York Fashion Week kind of losing its way? Number one, I feel like the other countries, like they get support from the country itself, like Paris specifically
Paris,
invests,
London, and Milan.
Invests in the preservation. That's culture. They have high culture kind of specific avenues dedicated to supporting that as a fashion as an art form. And I feel like for all of the things that this new administration wants to pursue in terms of Made in America and all of these things, we don't get the same support for the industry as other countries. So I think if there was more investment from the top in terms of how to sort of preserve and uplift American designers and American artistry, we could compete more with the other cities.
I think also that when we talked about how in the UK they literally give government funding to creatives, but I think another thing, and we discussed this off camera before, Tom Brown shows in Paris.
Yeah, it does.
The chairman of the CFDA.
So for me, it's like the fish rots from the head. So I would think that the president of the CFDA would show in America.
Right.
And I also think we're exporting like our most brilliant talent, Daniel Roseberry. Like the fact that he is not like I'm just throwing it out there, the new creative director of Michael Kors
or Ralph Lauren,
or Ralph Lauren,
and what's crazy about that is what was his name from Ralph Lauren? He left and went to Celine. Michael Ryder went to Celine.
And it's almost like, it kind of reminds me of like how Americans leave America and go play soccer in Europe, right? And so it's just like, we don't have the infrastructure, but we also don't have fashion, beauty, etc. leadership, telling us to stay.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
everyone's trying to leave.
Yeah, because I think there are so many talented American designers, and it's just unfortunate when it's like when the leadership, to your point, is not shining the light on that. It's like, okay, well, if you don't care about it, like, you can't expect me to care. And this is your tribe, these are your people. So I don't know. I guess with that said, is the onus on the designers to recapture the excitement and the vigor of New York Fashion Week, or like, who do you feel has their responsibility?
I think the community does. Okay. I think as a former designer. I'm trying to choose the right words because I could go off. In my opinion, I didn't have any support. I screwed up the whole system on purpose. Actually, fuck it.
Tell us.
I screwed the whole system up because they didn't have vision. When I first started my brand, I was self-funded and I was an apprentice for Ralph Rucci, and while I was interning at Baby Phat, I also interned for a short period of time for Oscar de la Renta, right? So I have a craftsmanship background that most people can never, because I wanted to understand craftsmanship. Told you, Mr. Doing Too Much, that's me. And I was also interning at Complex. Like, I was that guy, right? No life. Anyway, when I came in and had my brand, I was the first one speaking the opposite of Phoebe Philo, which was maximalism, 2013. And they were like, oh my God, he's doing too much. I was like, I'm mixing my couture background, because I actually could create things from the background from my experience, and streetwear. Before Off-White existed. Rest your soul, Virgil. It used to be in my DMs. But the conversation around the support of the community is what I didn't have. I used my influence of social media and understanding of the industry. Didn't have a publicist. Crazy. And I did all of that before any Vogue or anyone has even acknowledged me. And it's because I wasn't cut from the same energy of whatever they thought it needed to be at the time. I applied for the CFDA, Vogue Fashion Fund. Actually, I was approached to apply, so I did in 2016. And I didn't get it. And I remember going off. I went off because they did not support. I had a store in the South Bronx, and I had gotten recommendations from Miss Leon Talley, Paul Wilmot, Miss Tina. And Miss Tina, Beyonce had just gotten her CFDA award.
Oh, wow.
That year or whatever.
I love that hat.
Yes.
That hat. Well, yeah. And that situation was crazy because I was like, oh, I didn't get it, but I'm partnering with Swarovski on my own, and I'm partnering with Samsung. Samsung has sponsored I was the face of Samsung. No designer was doing that, you know? I'm talking all this just to say, I didn't have a community I didn't have a fashion community. I had the people who supported me.
Sure.
Which is why I'm a little bit of a wild card for the industry. Because they don't know no one could bring me down but myself. Because I didn't have their support from the beginning. That's why I wasn't a Vogue darling, but I've been in the New York Times 16 times. It was crazy. I'm in Vogue now, of course, for my style and everything. But that was way after I've been in the covers of New York Times multiple times. So like I had the culture rather than the community. And fashion, they see me and I'm a I'm an enigma, and I like that. Because you never know what I'm doing next.
Yeah, I guess my thought on it is like, it seems like in Europe and these other places, you don't need community because the infrastructure is
coming from the top, and they're taking care of you. And it's part of the cultural program where you get the funding. I wish we had funding like that.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is we did have Anna Wintour before she left, and she was the head of the CFDA. She was the head of American Vogue, and she had her influence pretty much over the entire American and, of course, the New York fashion scene. So it's interesting for her to not push more designers, American designers, to stay in New York Fashion Week. I remember she did used to do a lot of like fashions night out and a lot of kind of gimmicks, fashions, but it kind of was a little bit, I wouldn't say gimmicky, but it was definitely trying to get people to come out to spend money like there wasn't already an appetite. So there still was a need to kind of like bring people out to offer them something other than the clothes to incentivize them. So yeah, New York Fashion Week could use someone at the helm.
Right? Yeah, we need someone who's going to be excited about the clothing and the designers and create a new storyline around it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've pitched to the CFDA before, and I was saying we should create a series. They're going to do it now that I say it, but who cares? But we need to re-educate people on who these American designers are.
Yeah.
I don't want to just see them on red carpets. I want to understand why their philosophy is here. And I pitched this to them. You know,
and I also feel like there used to be a community of fashion designers. Like Michael Kors knew Tom Ford knew Marc Jacobs. They all kind of knew each other, and they would kind of bounce around the same houses. Is there still, like, you think, a sense of community within the American designer sphere?
See, I'm on the outside looking in, I think, but I think there is. There was. Most of us all came up together. You know, like I say, Raul. I've known Raul since I was 16. And like Kirby was like, when he was around, he was like my brother. You know, helped him start Pure Moss actually. So like it's one of those things where I'm on the outside looking in. Again, I was the corporate girly. I was the.
It takes all kinds, though.
To be home. I don't party. You have to be out to make those networks, right? So I'm like, oh, I don't know what's happening because I'm not in the scene like I used to be. But I'm pretty sure the American designers in America, in America, I say that because it's not in America. They all know each other. We don't have a community. We don't have that sense of, let's have a dinner together and let's capture that, and there's no storytelling. That's what I think it is. I think we're lacking the storytelling. And I think that can be fixed, but the storytelling element is what we don't have here.